welcome back home. Oh, did my husband Jeff not hear what I said? Welcome home. Dinner's ready. No matter how much I talk to Jeff, he won't respond back to me. Jeff looks a little moody as he sits down to the dinner table while watching the TV. I really don't know what to do, so I just began to put the dinner plates in front of Jeff. My name is Jade. I am 32 years old. I am currently a sales associate in a cosmetics department. I work in a store of my favorite cosmetics brand, and I am very happy about that. And I feel really happy every day that I get to work in an environment like that. I have a husband named Jeff, and we have now been married for 3 years. But we have been dating for 5 years and moved in together right after we started dating. So, we have been living together for 8 years now. My husband was always been very kind and caring to me. And he was a good boyfriend and has been a good husband since we got married. I am the one who is good at house chores. But Jeff helps me with what he can and even cooks for me when I am busy with work. I thought to myself that I had found a really kind, good man until recently. My husband and I met at the same company. I joined the company later on, and my husband had been working at the company already, as he was 2 years older than me. At the time, my husband was my mentor, and I felt like he was a mentor whom I admired for his work ethics and his skills. Little by little, I began to learn my job, and I was trusted by my bosses to do various tasks. Then, I was assigned to the same team as my husband in a new project at the company, and we became even closer. Around that time, my husband and I often went out for drinks and talked a lot about work. We became closer and closer to each other, so we began to date. My husband and I shared a common interest in music, and our favorite bands were quite similar. Because of this, we also went on dates together, going to live concerts and festivals. Since we worked at the same place, we understood each other's work and how busy we were. And depending on the time, we were able to support each other and understand how we felt and how we thought on some things. For a while, we were like that, enjoying our time together and being called the perfect couple at work. But then I began to think about what kind of work I really wanted to do. Of course, I enjoyed my job at that time, and I was blessed with good people at work. But I wanted to be more involved in something I really liked. This desire grew stronger, and I made the decision to quit the company and talk to Jeff about it. He supported my dream and suggested saying, "It's a new beginning for you, Jade, so why don't you leave the company because we're getting married?" And after that, he proposed and said, "Let's get married." I was surprised, but I thought it was very like Jeff and accepted his proposal. I left the company and entered the cosmetics industry, which I had always been interested in. My job started as a sales clerk in a cosmetics department, but I was really happy. I could be involved with my favorite cosmetic brand every day, and more importantly, I could learn more by actually using various products. Even as a salesperson, there's a lot to learn, and the job is very rewarding. And since I was always in a happy mood, I was excitedly telling my husband, "We had this customer today," or "My senior gave me a compliment," and so on. My husband would smile and say, "I see. or
"That's good for you."
And I know I've already said this, but I was really happy. Then one day, after working as a salesperson for about 3 years, I was suddenly called in by my manager. I remember going to the head office extremely nervous because I had no idea why I was called in for. Did I do something wrong, or did I do something to cause unbelievable damage to the company? I went over to my manager with a scared look on my face, and seeing me, he said,
"What are you scared of?"
and laughed. Well, why did you call me in for?
"I want you to join our product planning and development department at the head office."
What? I couldn't close my mouth as I was surprised to this unexpected turn of events. I'm going to be a part of the head office? My manager then said,
"I heard about you from the store manager. He told me that you'd be able to make great use of your abilities in a department that would form the core of the company."
I felt like I was in heaven. It was a dream come true to be promoted in a job I loved. I immediately reported this to my husband when I got home. Hearing this, Jeff had praised me, saying,
"Wow, that's great."
I was going to be working at the head office, and my salary would be much higher than when I was a sales associate. I couldn't help but be very pleased about what was happening. And although the work in the new department was difficult because there was so much to learn, it was still very rewarding. It really moved me to see the actual production of the cosmetics up close at the factory for the first time. And since there was a lot of work to be done at the head office, I had to do overtime every day. I usually returned home around 9 p.m. I'm so sorry. I got home late again. I bought some side dishes from the store, so I'll just make something simple.
Jade, haven't you been neglecting your house chores lately?
Sorry?
If I have to eat late like this every night, my stomach can't really handle that.
I'm sorry. It was the first time that my husband had ever said such a thing to me, so I had apologized to him without really thinking deeply about it. It was true that, until now, I had always arrived home earlier than my husband, and he often came home when I was still cooking dinner for him. And the dinner would be ready just when my husband changed his clothes and ready to relax. But circumstances change, and now I want to put work first. I felt that he should have been a little more understanding, but he had supported me when I decided to change jobs. But after that, my husband's attitude toward me gradually became more and more harsh.
This dish again?
What? But you told me that you like it, Jeff.
You should think about cooking different types of dishes, you know. If it's like this, I'd rather go to McDonald's.
What? But I made it just for you.
And lately, you're not cleaning around really well. It seems like you changed, huh? All you do is work, and now you don't really care about what's going on in the house.
No, that's not true. I'm trying to do my best both at work and at home.
Then, do better with your house chores.
No way. Then you're the one who should help with the house chores more, Jeff. You've been coming home earlier than me lately anyways. Then my husband widened his eyes and became angry.
Huh? You better not get carried away. What? Do you think like you're a big shot or something? You're being arrogant, you know.
Jeff?
Wow, you really pissed me off. Who the hell do you think you are?
Excuse me? I had never seen my husband lose his temper like this before, so I was really confused and could only apologize and say, I'm sorry." That was the end of our conversation that day, and we went to bed separately. My husband slept on the couch. As I was alone in the bedroom, I reflected on the fact that I had indeed been working so much and neglecting my husband and the house chores. The next morning, I made lunch for my husband and myself for the first time in a long time. My husband looked surprised when he saw the lunch, and he said,
"Thanks,"
and took his lunch to work. I was a little relieved at this point, thinking that we had made up, although still a little awkward. And since work was not that busy that day, I left the office without doing any overtime. I went to the supermarket to buy ingredients to cook something really nice for the first time in a while. I cooked one dish after another, hoping to surprise my husband. Then, my husband came home just in time. "Oh, welcome back home." Oh, did my husband Jeff not hear what I said? "Welcome home, dinner's ready." No matter how much I talk to Jeff, he won't respond back to me. Jeff looks a little moody as he sits down to the dinner table while watching the TV. I really didn't know what to do, so I just began to put the dinner plates in front of Jeff. But my husband just eats his food silently without saying anything. He doesn't even look at me, and he just keeps on watching the TV. Today I had some time to cook, so I tried my best. What do you think? I asked Jeff that, but he didn't say anything. Well, I guess he's just ignoring me. And I guess that he didn't forgive me at all for yesterday, huh? Still, what Jeff is doing is a bit too much. Feeling sad, I began to eat the food I cooked while facing Jeff, who was looking the other way. It's so delicious. I was so sad that Jeff didn't respond to anything. My husband kept ignoring me, and I didn't know what to do, so all I could do was also be silent. After that, my husband continued to ignore me, and to my surprise, he ignored me for a whole week. Is this normal for Jeff to ignore me this much, no matter how much my comments annoyed him? I was disappointed that my husband was such a small man, and I was getting used to being ignored. If he doesn't say anything, then I'm free to do as I please. I started working overtime more than usual, and through this process, I started going out for drinks with other people at work. I stopped cooking dinner or making lunch for my husband. Then one day, for the first time in a long time, I was invited out for a drink by a good friend, Steve, who used to work with me. My old workplace was, yes, my husband's workplace. Steve still works at the same department as my husband. I thought it was a good opportunity and asked him how Jeff was doing recently at work. Then, Steve would awkwardly say,
"Oh, he's frustrated because he couldn't get promoted again."
If I remember correctly, a month ago was that time of the year when you get promoted or not in that company. My husband didn't say anything about it, and I had forgotten all about it because I had been assigned to work at the head office at that time in the first place. I then began to tell Steve about my current situation at home. Steve then said,
"That's tough,"
and sympathized with me and said,
"Oh, by the way,"
and began to talk as if he remembered something.
"After you quit the company, I remember Jeff saying, 'After all, I'll be the man of the family finances, so Jay's just fine doing what she likes as a hobby.'"
What? I was surprised to hear that. At first glance, this might be taken as the statement of a man who seems dependable, but it's not. It was just a comment made by an extremely arrogant man. In other words, my husband had always looked down on me and didn't care what I did because I was always looked down by him. But now that I had been promoted and was earning a little more than what Jeff earned currently, he became jealous and started acting that way. My feelings for my husband suddenly disappeared just like that. I had no idea Jeff was such a small man. I no longer cared about my marriage to my husband and immediately started looking for a place to live in. My husband seemed to have assumed that I would snap out of it, and he was beginning to grow impatient with my attitude and ignoring him back. I think I was really irritated, seeing my husband after knowing what I had found out from Steve. Then one day, my husband said,
you know,
and began speaking to me. But I was just about to call the real estate agent at that time, so I coldly replied, "I'm busy, so shut up." My husband said,
"What?"
in a small voice and looked frightened. I ignored him and called the real estate agent. "Yes, I really like that room. Yes, please, I'll go ahead with that contract." When I hung up the phone, my husband asked with a worried look on his face, saying,
"What room are you talking about?"
I had no choice but to talk to him. "I'm going to leave this house."
"Excuse me?"
"I'm sick and tired of being controlled around by your petty pride. So, let's just get a divorce." Saying this, I held out the divorce papers at my husband.
"What? Why divorce?"
"Don't you even know what you did? It's because you were jealous of my career and acted really immature by continuing to ignore me. It's too late for you to talk to me now. I don't want to be with a small, arrogant person like you anymore. Now, sign the divorce papers. Otherwise, I'll hire a lawyer." Seeing me very angry like this, Jeff began to sign the divorce papers as he trembled. And like that, our divorce was finalized. After the divorce, my ex-husband became even more moody and began to pick on the colleagues who were much younger than him more harshly, which was regarded as power harassment within the company, and he was sent to a local branch as a demotion. On the other hand, now that I am free from the stress of my ex-husband, I am able to take on my work with a more refreshed mind, and I feel very happy every day. Love is good for a while, so now I want to devote myself more and more to my work and continue to learn about the cosmetics. Right now, my dream is to sell cosmetics, which I produced by myself at this company. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
Hey, why is this meal so bland and boring?
You really are useless, Daisy. I mean, Daisy, if you're that useless, then you're just a parasite.
No, you're right. I'm sure she's a parasite.
While saying these horrible things to me, my husband Lance and his sister Mia scoffed at me. Who in the world do you think is doing things around the house and supporting them? I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had enough of how they were treating me terribly. I can't stay any longer at this house with them. I'll show them which one of us is the parasite. My name is Daisy. I am 32 years old and I work at a company. I am currently dating someone. The guy I am dating is Lance, a colleague from the same company who joined the company a little later than me, and it has been almost 2 years since I started dating him. He has always given me the impression of being a bright and likable young man, and I was secretly attracted to him. I heard that Lance had an ex-girlfriend whom he was thinking of marrying before, but they broke up after they were engaged. The reason for breaking off the engagement was that because his ex-girlfriend at the time had been seeing someone else, and after Lance found out that she was cheating on him, he was quite in a shock at that time. He didn't seem to be able to concentrate much on his work, so I used to hear him out a lot at that time. From this, we naturally grew closer, and in the end, Lance confessed his feelings for me and we started dating. Our romantic relationship was going pretty well, and I was beginning to think about marrying him. It had been almost 2 years since we began dating, and we were both at the ideal age to get married. I guess maybe Lance thought the same thing, and he could take the hint since he just recently proposed to me.
Daisy, I want you to marry me.
I was at the height of my happiness when he gave me a ring and proposed to me at a high-end restaurant with a beautiful night view. It was my dream to be proposed like this. You might think it's such a cliche, but to me, it was what I wanted, and I was just happy that maybe he remembered that I had told him about my dream proposal before, even if it was just a coincidence. I was so happy that I immediately accepted his proposal, and we got engaged. After that, we greeted each other's parents, met each of our families, and had a beautiful wedding ceremony. After getting married to Lance, I resigned from my job. I resigned because Lance had asked me to do so.
I want you to be a full-time housewife when we get married.
To be honest, when he first said that, it made me think about it a lot. I loved my job at the time and found it very rewarding. But it's not like I was prioritizing work more, and I wanted to be married to him. So I decided to become a full-time housewife. Once I decided to be a full-time housewife, I had to make sure I did all the house chores properly. I did a lot of cleaning and doing the laundry, and I read a lot of books on cooking and honed my skills. I guess I must have been a perfectionist. I became more and more immersed in doing the house chores and perfecting them by researching how to remove the stains, or how to dry the clothes without having any wrinkles on them, or how to make delicious dishes easily with inexpensive ingredients. I was passionate about the house chores like that, and I was spending my newlywed life happily while having a great relationship with my husband. My husband also seemed satisfied with the fact that I was doing a good job on the house chores. He also enjoys the meals and dishes I cook very much. And 1 year passed in the blink of an eye after we got married. But around this time, I began to feel some negative vibes between Lance and I. It all started when we decided to move in with Lance's parents, Linda and Phil.
My father's legs and back aren't doing so well these days. I'm thinking of moving in with my parents.
What? Moving in together with them? I was surprised to hear Lance's suggestion out of the blue. As for me, I wanted to spend a little more time with Lance as a married couple, but my impression of my parents-in-law was not that bad, and once I heard the situation from Lance, I was worried about my father-in-law, Phil. So I agreed to move in with Lance's parents, and we moved into my in-laws' house right away. Oh, thank you so much for moving in with us, Daisy. It would be a great help now that you're here with us. Please rely on me for anything, okay, Linda? My mother-in-law, Linda, thanked me many times. My father-in-law, Phil, was also apologetic, saying,
I'm really sorry disturbing your newlywed life.
Both Linda and Phil were very kind, and I thought that our life together was going to be fine. Then I saw a woman in pajamas coming down from the second floor. My God, it's only the morning, and what's happening already? You all are being so loud.
Oh, Mia! Long time no see.
Oh, is that you, Lance? It is you, Lance. What's up?
Hehe, from today, I'm going to start living here.
What? Seriously? Yay! She is my sister-in-law, Mia, who looks really happy seeing her big brother. I first met Mia before my husband and I got married, and she was still a college student at the time. Lance and Mia are 5 years apart, and he and I are 3 years apart, so there is an 8-year age difference between Mia and I. Mia had been studying in England since last year and just came back yesterday. I didn't know the details, but it seems that Mia was living at home and will continue to live there after returning back here. I was surprised because I thought we were only going to live with Lance's parents. And I felt a little uneasy. My husband loves Mia, just a little too much in my opinion, and he's very protective of Mia. When we were dating and after we got married, my husband always talked about Mia at least once a day. At the time, I thought he was a nice man who was very protective of his sister. But after seeing him talk about Mia so many times after we got married, I began to think that he was obsessed with Mia a bit too much. So, when we got married, I was glad that Mia had gone to study in England. But I never thought that we all would end up living together like this. But Mia could be a very nice girl. I had my concerns, but for now I wanted to get along well with Mia and decided to get closer to her. As we all started living together, and after seeing my husband off to work, I proceeded with the house chores. It's really great to have you here, Daisy. You are so quick and efficient, so the house chores gets done really fast. Thank you very much. It's because you teach me in a way that I understand how to do it easily, Linda. While Linda and I were happily chatting and doing house chores together, Mia woke up sleepily right before noon. Oh, good morning, Mia. Good morning. You look sleepy. Mia seems to have a hard time in the morning, and she sat on the sofa looking very sleepy. I'll make coffee. As I said that, I made her coffee and gave it to her. Here you go. What about milk and sugar? Oh, sorry about that. How many would you like? One of each, please. I did as I was told and took a stick of sugar and milk. Then, Mia took it, put it in her coffee, mixed it, and drank it. Then, she started looking at her phone while relaxing on the sofa. I wonder if she doesn't work because she just got back. I mean, did she quit her job when she began to study in England? As Linda went into her room to take care of Phil, I decided to talk to Mia to get to know her more. Mia, was England fun? Yes, it was really fun. Mia answers my question while still looking at her phone. Normally, I think it is common sense to stop looking at the phone and concentrate on the conversation. But, oh well, let's put that aside for now. What are you going to do now? What kind of work are you looking for? When I asked her that, Mia instantly made a disgusted face. Why are you asking me these questions all of a sudden? What? What, are you saying that I'm in the way since I'm always at home? No, that's not what I'm saying. I just simply got curious what you were going to do after studying in England. But that's got nothing to do with you, Daisy, right? Well, yes, but I was only curious, which is why I asked. Since we're living together now, I want to get to know you more too. There's no need for that, okay? This isn't at all necessary, so don't try to have a conversation with me like that, okay? What? Mia was looking at her phone the whole time while she said that. I was shocked to find out that she had no intention of getting along with me. And yet, Mia would demand saying things like, Hey Daisy, is my lunch ready yet? Or even say, Hurry up and clean my room, and so on. I was so shocked at her attitude, wondering how could she be so demanding after having behaved like that earlier. Since you're not working anyways, why don't you do it? I am not the one who will easily do whatever Mia tells me to do, especially after how Mia was like to me earlier on. I can't have Mia looking down on me like that. As I said this, Mia widened her eyes and glared at me sharply. You're terrible. How dare you have an attitude like that to me? Well, the way you behaved towards me earlier on was also terrible. Don't expect people to be nice to you when you weren't even nice to them in the first place, okay? When I said this, Mia glared at me once again and left the house. She probably went out somewhere to eat. I thought to myself, my goodness, and proceeded to do my chores. But that night, an issue occurred. Welcome home, honey. When I welcomed my husband back home, when he came back home from work, he glared at me with an angry look on his face.
Hey, Daisy! What the hell are you thinking?
Excuse me?
I got a message from Mia, and she was saying that she got bullied and harassed by you, Daisy.
No way. I never bullied or harassed Mia.
I heard that you intentionally didn't cook lunch or clean the room for Mia.
Well, that's because Mia said terrible things to me.
No way. Mia has a really gentle heart. She would never say such terrible things to you.
My husband says this as his face is bright red from anger. Then Mia, who was in the room, came out and jumped into my husband's chest, hugging him, saying something like, "Oh, Lance, she made me feel bad."
You must have felt bad. Well, I'm really sorry, Mia. I'm going to make sure and tell Daisy off and be strict with her.
Strict with me? I was just shocked at how my husband overly loved Mia. And I was just really disappointed that my husband would always take Mia's side whenever I would clash and have an argument with Mia. Then, being spoiled by Lance, Mia got carried away and started demanding a lot of things from me. Daisy, I want to eat ice cream, so go buy me some. Oh, and I want you to also get this magazine. So, will you just hurry up and go? Mia would say this to me while lying on the sofa. Mia would completely treat me as if I were her housekeeper because she knew Lance would always take her side whenever something happened between us. I had no choice but to listen to her, but it really bothers me when she makes various demands while I was doing house chores. I mean, to begin with, Mia should go to work since she was in her 20s. But even after a few months had passed since her return, she showed no sign of planning to work. As expected, both Linda and Phil, seeing Mia being like that, said,
I think you've had enough rest, don't you think?
But Mia would say something like this. Well, it's okay, I don't have to work at all. And it wouldn't make any sense. When Linda and Phil asked her what she meant, she said, It's because my brother will take care of me. Hearing Mia's answer, I butted into the conversation. Oh, wait a minute. Please don't ask Lance for money to support you. We have our life to lead too, you know. When I said this, Mia began to snicker and say this. What the heck are you talking about? Lance was the one who said this, you know. He said that he would be the one looking after me, so I don't need to work at all. Hearing what Lance had said to Mia, Linda, Phil, and I were just speechless and in shock. My husband's obsession towards Mia was just too much for me to handle. When I asked my husband about it, he didn't seem offended and admitted to it, saying,
I did tell her that, of course. It's only normal, right?
I don't know if I can be with a person like him anymore. Just as I was thinking this, Linda had suffered a back injury. Apparently, she had injured her back by doing her best and taking care of Phil too much. I got really worried about both Linda and Phil. If I left them alone and divorced my husband, I could just tell that there was no way Mia would be able to take care of them. I mean, Mia doesn't do any house chores and has no intention of taking care of her parents, since it was just a hassle for her. Plus, Lance would only obey to Mia, so I felt that I had to do something about this. So, from then on, I began to take care of Linda and Phil in addition to my daily chores. Both Linda and Phil felt bad that they were putting all the burden on me and told Mia to either take care of them or do the house chores. But Mia would say, "But that's what a married woman does." It would not listen to her own parents at all. Linda and Phil would apologize to me, saying,
I'm sorry for raising our kids like this and for causing trouble to you because of this.
"Oh, you are both not at any fault for this. Now you both should only just think about getting better physically." But taking advantage of the situation, Mia began to use me and demand me things even more. My husband was also not helpful, but instead, he would side with Mia and they both began to treat me terribly.
Hey, why is this meal so bland and boring?
You really are useless, Daisy. You should cook dishes and meals which has a lot of meat and with better taste, since this is just too bland and boring. Well, I cook these meals and dishes while I think about your parents' health.
What? Are you trying to go against us?
This is ridiculous. You're just a wife who is our slave. I mean, Daisy, if you're that useless, then you're just a parasite.
No, you're right. I'm sure she's a parasite.
While saying these horrible things to me, my husband Lance and his little sister Mia scoffed at me. Even when Linda and Phil get mad at both Lance and Mia for not being kind or cooperative, the two won't stop laughing at me. Who in the world do you think is doing things around the house and supporting them? I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had enough of how they were treating me terribly. I can't stay any longer at this house with them. I'll show them which one of us is the parasite. And 3 weeks later, I packed my bags and left the house. Mia had recently gone to a beauty salon because Lance had spoiled her and given her money for it. Meanwhile, I decided to carry out a plan I had been working on for a little while. After I finished carrying all my belongings, I laid down in a room which I rented all by myself. I am very happy to be able to spend time at my own pace without being required to do so many things like a slave. As I was relaxing around, I received a phone call from my husband that evening.
Hey, where the hell did you go? How come your things and Mom and Dad's things are all gone?
Well, that's because we all left that house.
What did you say? You all left? Where the hell did you guys all go to?
Well, your parents have already given up on you and Mia and decided to go into nursing care. They don't want to see their ungrateful, uncooperative son and daughter anymore, who treated me really badly. Since they didn't want to give you and Mia their inheritance either, they've spent all their savings and moved into a really luxurious nursing care home. I went on a tour with them to that nursing care facility, and it really is a great place. I was relieved to see that they will be able to live a happy and peaceful life away from both of you.
What? Then where the hell are you?
Oh, I borrowed an apartment, all for myself. I have quite a bit of savings, which I had even before I married you. Besides, I was in a much higher position than you at my previous company, so I earned pretty well.
You've got to be kidding. Who's going to do the house chores then if you're gone?
Why don't you just make Mia do that?
But Mia can't even cook. She said that even holding a knife is too scary for her.
Then I guess you'll have to do it. Oh, and I got a message from Phil, and he told me to tell you that they sold the house that you're living in right now, so you both will have to move out soon. If you don't move out and resist, you'll either get evicted or arrested.
What? You're joking, right?
You both have to move out by the end of the month, so that's in 2 days, I guess.
No way!
Also, I'm claiming compensation for the emotional distress you caused me, so please check the contents of the certified letter which I'll be sending to your company.
Why are you even sending it to the office?
because I have to let everyone in the company know that it's all your fault. It's also a nice reminder to the people at the company that they shouldn't promote you to be a boss. My husband says something which I couldn't hear really well since I couldn't really care less. He probably must have realized the gravity of the situation and was getting depressed. I could also hear Mia screaming something over the phone in the background, but I ignored her and hung up. I then blocked my husband's number and left the rest to my lawyer. After that, I successfully got a divorce from my husband, and he also paid me alimony, even though it was a small amount. According to my ex-colleagues, whom I kept in touch with, word of my ex-husband's divorce spread quickly through the company, and they were calling him how obsessed he was with his own sister, and as a morally harassing jerk, and they all gave him the cold shoulder. And now he is living with his dearly beloved Mia in an inexpensive apartment. But since Mia has been selfish and spoiled all this time, Lance was gradually getting tired of her both mentally and physically. Linda and Phil seem to be living comfortably in a very nice nursing home, and when I go to see them once in a while, they greet me, and they both look really healthy, which really is a relief. I really do hope that they would stop supporting their ungrateful children and spend more and more money for themselves from now on. Meanwhile, I have successfully found a new job, and I am enjoying the life of living alone while working really hard for my job. I don't want to be in love for a while, so I'm going to devote myself to work and try my best to get promoted and enhance my career. Both Lance and Mia, who are really selfish and obsessive, are really the worst. I do hope they both go straight to hell. Don't they owe anything to their own parents for providing them for them until now? I'm really sorry that Daisy had to be pushed around by the two of them. I am so glad that Daisy is no longer with those horrible people. I wish Daisy, Linda, and Phil a happy and peaceful life from now on. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.